staff will be presenting to council on some topics relating to RV parks and HUD code manufactured housing. So just giving y'all an update, and we'll follow up with y'all if anything comes out of that or any outcomes from that presentation.
Item number 3, discuss moving the planning commission meetings to Tuesday.
Yes, so we dropped this back on the agenda. I think it was a couple months ago. The topic had come up of possibly moving our meetings away from Monday evenings to another day of the week. We have met with our city secretary to look at the council and other boards and commission schedules. Since we do utilize this room, it looks like if we move, I think the talk was to move it to a Tuesday. So there are some conflicts on the schedule that would really cause some hiccups for us on that. And then also it would shorten the staff's timeline to be able to get items prepped and ready to go to the council. So it would really condense our schedule on the back end of it. So we wanted to put it back on to see if this is something that everyone feels passionately about, and we need to do more research to see what we could come up with a schedule, or if you all feel like Monday is still appropriate for the time being.
I know that there's several that Tuesday would be more beneficial for. Of course, we'll keep Monday for the present time being, but what if it were changed instead of the 1st and 3rd to the 2nd and 4th?
Okay.
You know, what if we changed weeks? I don't know how that would affect anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we'd have to get with the secretary again to see if there's conflicts there with other boards. As for the issue with the city council, it's not going to change much because just the way it is right now, it's for their 1st and 3rd Thursdays. And so sometimes that comes before our meeting, sometimes that comes right after our meeting on the same week. It just depends on where that first day of the month falls. So it would still shorten that timeline to where we don't have 3 days. We've now limited it to 2.
And nothing needs to change on the city charter or anything. It's mostly just done by.
Yeah, it doesn't need to change on the city charter. We would need to change the policy for boards and commissions, because that does read that we meet 1st and 3rd Mondays right now for our regular meeting, but we wouldn't need to change charter or anything like that. It's by resolution, so it would be relatively simple.
Okay. Okay, so this is a time for you all to discuss and maybe throw out some ideas of what you have in mind, and we'll make note, and then we'll have we'll actually lay the schedule out with some of the proposed days, and see what that looks like timing wise to give staff enough, appropriate amounts of time to prepare presentations and staff reports, and make sure that we're still in alignment with.
I know I'm
timely.
one person, but Tuesdays would be beneficial for me over Mondays. Otherwise, there just may be more chances where I may have to miss Mondays than Tuesdays, but I'm one person, so don't change it for my account, but that's my opinion.
Daniel, does it matter to you?
Yeah, I think with sports now, sometimes with that game on Mondays. So.
Judy, we talked about it. So you do have a potential conflict every 3 months, but you could make it work.
Workshop that I could be here for rest.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, so
Those pesky things.
I don't have I don't have a direct conflict at this moment. The terms are long though, so 6 years, it might be enough time to. I don't know. I'm talking about the kids, but yeah, I don't have a conflict at the moment, so my schedule is a little more open than other people. So
I don't have a conflict either way. I'm flexible.
Well, we'll have a replacement for Derek, so we don't have an answer for that. So I
Mhm.
guess you might look at it maybe one more time and then
Okay.
come back at the next work session.
Sure. And we can definitely do that. We just wanted to drop it back on the agenda, let you know that it didn't just go away, that we are, making those considerations. We just can't take that change
And
lightly.
it may
so,
work and it may not work. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work, it's done well for all these years.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it doesn't work,
It'll
we'll
stay on Monday.
all right. Sounds good. Well, thank y'all.
Same week.
Mhm.
I think the ordinance or resolution will have to stay, like you said, it'll have to be
Mhm.
voted on.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult to write it for that.
Yeah.
It's a good idea though.
And
It is.
I think it affects the staff more if you move something up a day and then back a day. Really, you've got a day to prepare for this, doesn't change your timeline of days to prepare for anything else.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that we should consider, to Commissioner Walker's point, we shift the meeting to Tuesday when there's a holiday on Monday. So it's not out of the question that we shift the meeting, based on what you said, on certain Tuesdays, based on the council schedule for the month. The part that I would be cautious about, the public is accustomed to having the meetings on Mondays. So if we move it to Tuesdays, then it's always Tuesdays and they can plan for that. If we start being very nimble and agile, we run the risk of excluding the public from the process. So I'd be cautious with that.
I think they would expect it when there's a holiday on Monday.
Right.
That would
right.
be a surprise, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Well, we'll take a look at it one more time and then make that decision at the next work session.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you all.
Number 4 was discuss commissioners attending the Texas American Planning Association. Miss Kathy Gover's going to talk just about
Yes,
that.
thank
It's in Allen, Texas this year.
Yes. So it's that time of the year again, commissioners, to start thinking and preparing. I'll be sending out an email this week with a link that has all the details, but just for the heads up, it's the 2024 Texas APA American Planners Association Conference. It is in Allen, Texas, as Vice Chair Krause stated, and it's during October the 16th to the 18th. Normally, we send 2 to 3 commissioners, so start thinking about it. I'll be sending out an email. Look, watch for that email this week. We pay for your travel, your lodging, your registration, and your meals. It's a per diem meals. You don't have to keep up with receipts. And then when I send the email, go to the website and there's a lot of good opportunities of training and learning for planning and zoning commissioners. I know Commissioner Morales went last year and Vice Chair Krause. I think they found it to be very helpful and informative. I think you learned a lot. There's some mobile workshops you can go to also that we pay for. We usually pay for one for each commissioner. And contact me if you have any questions. You've got my email, you've got my phone number. See me afterwards tonight if you have any questions you can think of right now, but be watching for that email, and we hope to have some representatives to go this year. Thank you.
Miss Kathy, has there been any affidavits?
For the record, no affidavits to abstain have been received for this meeting. Is this correct, commissioners? Thank you.
Is there any additional business to discuss? If not, the work session is closed at 5:14 PM.
Did you ask somebody to do the pledge and the invocation?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Got that. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Morales is going to do the invocation. Commissioner Carney's going to do the pledge. Daniel, how old are your children?
I mean, it's his fault originally. Just when we get, she can just change the thing. 232. Okay. Yeah.
Through that, and it's early morning, right? No. There's even afternoon.
Boys, two girls.
You.
Boy, girl, boy, girl.
Oh, no, two weddings are. One was three.
It's not the weddings, it's the college for the kids.
Yeah.
Just makes it easier if you accept it up front.
Yeah.
So basically.
I'll pay for one way.
When first, right?
So that one,
We're gonna. Sacrifice me, and I pray. Oh, I don't know about, I pray maybe a different title. I know.
Well, there is either practice. Practice or games. And one in football at one time and then one in tennis. And the next round it was football and softball. And choir.
Did anyone want to sign in to speak for one of the cases? We have a sign sheet at the front and one at the back. Okay, you did that. No, Salado and select, which is why I didn't like it. Yeah. People like the travel. Yeah. It's not with the school. South of the school. Yeah. They have it. Nothing to do. It doesn't. Yeah, concern. Yes. Right. Yes, well, I didn't, I said it. Maybe. If we still have it on this one, we still, we haven't had motion to conference. Yes, and I see. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna, two in our. No, that's a good question. That's a good thing about that. That's a really good question.
Yeah. Oh, and what I would do. Well, going to my 10. And how we. Yeah. And then you get to the board, and we have one for the board. So when I would decide, we have one.
She'll be right back. And you're not first. Oh, yeah, but I think you're not gonna say that on. Over here. Yeah. Yeah. God. Oh, man. You know. Oh, yeah. Or this person is silent, it's for number 9. They said, I am not. They just switch. They put the type on the item 9 on regular. And these two are for, I think it's Cheryl's case. I think it's the first zoning case. There's 2 speakers when you open the public hearing. We're gonna do that. Cheryl has had a page 4-30. That's it. These 2 speakers are both for that. Mhm. Yes. And I'll need these afterwards. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I did. Thank you. We're good.
I will now call the August 19th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting to order at 5:30 PM. Mrs. Governor, will you please call roll?
Yes, good evening and welcome to the August 19th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Open Session Meeting. Commissioners, please state present if in attendance for this meeting. Commissioner Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Walker.
Present.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Jeans.
Present.
Commissioner Carney.
Present.
Vice Chair Krause,
Present.
Chair Marshall. For the record, Chair Marshall is not present. And also for the record, a quorum is present with 7 commissioners in attendance for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please join us for the invocation and pledge. Commissioner Morales will give the invocation and Commissioner Carney will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you today to thank you for all our blessings. We ask that you bless our leaders and all those who are here tonight. As we discuss important matters, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to make new connections and gain wisdom to do the work you've set before us. Let it be pleasing to you. Father, we give you all the honor and all the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now confirm the meeting agenda items. We have a request to table item 7 indefinitely. Do we have a motion to take a vote? Do we have a motion?
I'm sorry, I'll make a motion that we table this item number
7.
number 7.
We have a motion to table item number 7. Is there a second? A motion has been made by Commissioner Morales to table item number 7 and a second by Commissioner Ryan.
Ron Smith, yes.
If there is no objection, we'll approve the remaining agenda items by unanimous consent.
You need to take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Take a vote.
Okay, we're
Aye.
voting. Go ahead.
Aye.
Aye.
Wait, let me call your name. Okay. Sorry. So we're
Sorry.
voting to table item 7. So that's what the vote's for. Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurasik,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney, Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
Now I can do this. If there is no objection, we will approve the remaining agenda items by unanimous consent. Since there's no objection, the meeting agenda items are approved by unanimous consent.
We're gonna do general consent. Are we gonna have a motion? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now we'll do call for public comments. Are there any public comments at this time? If so, please limit comments to 3 minutes. Being no comments, we'll move on to the consent items.
Public comments online.
No public comments online.
Then we'll move on to consent items 4 and 5. If there are no objections, I will entertain a motion. Doesn't,
We don't have to. Yeah, we just have to note that it's items 4 and 5 and.
items 4 and 5 on the agenda.
Because it's consent, we can have a motion to approve both items 4 and 5.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Ryan to approve items 4 and 5 on the consent agenda. Kathy, can we have a vote?
That's fine. I think it was Jean's second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine for the record. So, Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurasik,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
We'll move on to item 6, consider and approve annual board report to City Council. The case will be presented by Assistant Planning Director Kelly Atkinson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So in your packet, you all received the report of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So this is a report that staff puts together every year to pass along to council, just so they're apprised of all of the different things that you guys are reviewing and your recommendations and all of the initiatives that you all are undertaking. So in this report, I won't go over every detail, but just wanted to do a couple of the highlights. So over the past 12 months, you can see that 51 subdivision plats were brought and then 17 administrative, which were done in-house. We had 42 zoning cases. There were a couple sets of amendments that we had come through for code. We've accomplished 3 neighborhood plans that have been presented to you all for recommendation to council. We've processed 7 annexations and we've had 2 appeals to overlays. So just looking at some of our goals, which were established by city council. So in our strategic plan, you can just, well, I won't go through all those, but we have goals set forward for our strategic plan and our comprehensive plan and our mobility master plan. Looking at those, higher density mixed use, we did have some plans come through that highlighted this initiative and made sure that that's what we're promoting, and our zoning reflects that. So our Las Cruces and Bird Creek, man, I cannot talk tonight, and Barnhart all have some high density and mixed use development included in that for looking to the future. And then also we had a preliminary plat that had mixed use development with some single family and 2-family, along with some commercial uses. Looking at our comprehensive plan, looking to guide development in desired areas throughout the community. So again, just looking at some of those initiatives that came through. We had lots of presentations that were given, talking about some of our water and wastewater, our revitalization corporation. So just things that we've also incorporated in, such as Jason's traffic analysis that he's added into some of those reports that we provide to you all. And then our annexations, we do bring those in and give you guys some updates on those by providing some reports. And then on our mobility master plan, again, looking at those traffic estimates for proposed developments, and then some safety analysis. I think having that crash data sometimes is helpful and beneficial when we're looking at things coming in. And then some recommendations moving forward. Again, looking at some presentations on some additional items, permitting and plan review processes, maybe talking about our historic district guidelines, just giving you guys a little bit more information, kind of that big picture of planning and zoning items. As Kathy mentioned earlier, extending an invitation to you all for additional training at APA, I think is crucial for a better understanding of the importance of your job here. And then we've also wanted to reach back out. There was a presentation several years ago that was given. It's kind of like a toolkit for commissioners and board members. So we would like to provide that to you all again as well. And then at the end of the report is the attendance report, and you can check your own attendance there. Please let us know if there's any corrections that need to be made, but Kathy's really on top of this, so I'm pretty sure it looks good. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything that was included in that annual update to the board. To the commission, I'm sorry.
Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion for approval of the report.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Morales and a second by Commissioner Jeans to recommend approval of item number 6, Planning Commission Annual Board Report to the City Council per staff recommendation. May we have a vote?
Yes, Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
We'll proceed with item 8. FY 25 35 ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning request from Office 1 to Neighborhood Service on 0.86 plus or minus acres described as Fedig subdivision, Block 1, Lot 4, in the city of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 5902 West Adams Avenue. The case will be presented by Principal Planner Cheryl Maxwell.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Krause. The item today, as you can see on the schedule, is set to go to the City Council first reading on September the 5th and second reading on September the 19th. So this shows the location of the property. It's on West Adams Avenue, just east of Beaver Loop. It's adjacent to city-owned property where you have the Pepper Creek Hike and Bike Trail. You can see a little bit better on the aerial over here. This is the trail location. This is the property proposed for rezoning. You can see to the north, there's several detached single-family homes. There's a residential subdivision, Casberg Edition Phase 3. Just to the west is AutoZone, located right here. Then on the south side, directly across from this property is a large tract, about 15 acres, undeveloped except for a single-family residence on site. And the next few slides have different pictures. This is the rezoning site. This is the view, the front of the building from Adams. This is the view from the view of the east side of the property. This is the west side of the property. And this is the rear of the property where you have the privacy fence. There's also, just want to point out, there is a 10-foot setback, which is the minimum requirement. The adjacent property to the north, again, there's a residence here. This is looking south. So you're basically looking over the fence. This is the existing building that's in the request. The adjacent property to the west, again, you have the AutoZone shop. Adjacent property to the east, you have this is a shot of the hike and bike trail that goes along Adams Avenue. Here's another view of it where you can see the parking lot of the applicant's property, and then you have a bunch of, well, a very thick kind of treed area. The trail is just on the other side of that, of all the trees. And then this is the shot of the property on the south side of Adams. It's kind of hard to see much of anything, but there is a house set way back there. And this shows the current zoning. Again, this property is zone Office 1. The property to the north with the residential use is single family 1. The AutoZone shop is a planned development with neighborhood service as the base zoning district. And then the green is all agricultural district. And then the red is commercial. So the applicant is purchasing the property to lease for retail use, possibly a restaurant. They don't have a tenant signed up just yet. Neighborhood service zoning is requested. Just want to point out that that use does not allow a drive-through window. Basically associated with a restaurant or other uses that have a drive-through. The drive-through window would not be allowed. The existing building on site was constructed in 2016 and the interior has not been finished out yet. At this point, no expansion of the building envelope is proposed, but it may be considered if needed by the tenant. Again, they don't have a specific tenant lined out at this time. I do want to point out again that the property is already platted. The parking and the setbacks and the screening requirements are all satisfied. This is a view showing access. This property has a shared driveway with the AutoZone property. There's also blue line kind of designates an internal driveway that kind of helps with internal circulation. So it kind of minimizes the amount of traffic accessing Adams Avenue. With regard to utilities, city water and sewer is available along Adams. Water, there's a 14-inch water line and there's a 6-inch sewer line. The blue colors here represent the FEMA flood zones. And again, I want to point out that the building is actually out of the flood zone. It's in the white portion of this property. And these are several charts and tables that are in your packet. This first one compares the uses that are currently allowed in the Office 1 zoning district with those that would be allowed in the neighborhood service zoning district. Probably the biggest change is with regard to retail and service category. Right now, the office is pretty limited to office uses and some minor services like a bank, credit access bureau, studio, travel agency, vet office. Whereas when you go into the neighborhood service, this opens it up a little bit more to service type uses like a barber and beauty shop or can't think of anything else right now, but dry cleaners, that sort of thing, and also some retail uses. And then also with regard to a restaurant, the restaurant would not be allowed in the office one zoning district. It is allowed in the neighborhood service, but again, a drive-in would not be allowed. And then this chart is the surrounding property and uses, which we kind of already covered. And then this is a comparison of the dimensional standards. Do want to point out that both districts require 10-foot rear yard setback. And then the maximum building height, the current zoning would allow a building up to 3 stories. Neighborhood service would allow 2.5 stories. Again, the building is existing and there's no changes proposed to expand that building, but these are the heights that would be allowed. And this is a trip generation estimates table. We pulled out a few uses just to kind of give you an idea of the weekday average trips for different types of restaurants. Both of those listed here. You have 486 and 536. Again, that's average trips per day. We also showed what it would be for a fast food restaurant in a coffee or donut shop with drive-throughs. Both of these have drive-throughs, which is considerably higher. You've got 2,300 and 1,067. This is X through because those uses are not allowed with the proposed rezoning to neighborhood service, but just wanted to show that as a comparison. For a variety store, you've got 318 trips per day. Again, here's a pharmacy drugstore, which is allowed, but the drive-through is not. With the drive-through, you'd have 542 trips. Medical equipment store is pretty low at 30. And we did show a liquor store. Again, a liquor store is not allowed with the proposed neighborhood service zoning district. Just wanted to have that up there for comparison purposes. And this chart is the average annual daily traffic count. This was taken in 2020. This is the location of the property. Just over to the east side, you've got the count, which at 30,959. Again, that was in 2020. And this is a crash history from 2019 to 2024. It's a heat map. So the red dots are your higher spots where you have the higher incidence of accidents. So you can see it's at the 2 intersections, Brooks Drive and then Loop 363. Again, this property is located right about here where you have still some accidents, but fewer. There's quite a few places along Adams where you would have some accidents between, again, 2019 and 2024. So this shows the comp plan. This area shown in yellow is residential and neighborhood service. Again, the property is right here with the star. So uses that are considered appropriate in this future land use category include single-family detached and attached homes, neighborhoods serving retail, personal service, and restaurants without a drive-through. In that particular category, neighborhood service zoning is considered an appropriate zoning district. The dark lines that you see, the hatch pattern, this is for the mixed use activity center overlay, which is an overlay in addition to the future land use designation. This overlay provides for a more intense integrated mixed use development with a primary focus on enhanced walkability. So with both of these into consideration, the neighborhood service zoning appears to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So with regard to compliance, the requested rezoning is compliant with the future development plan. The thoroughfare plan is compatible with surrounding uses and zoning, and public facilities are available. So notice of the zoning request was printed in the newspaper August the 8th, and the notices were mailed to 12 properties to the owners of these properties within 200 feet, which is shown here. We received 3 responses, 1 in agreement, shown here with the green A, and then 2 in disagreement. And we just had 1 that was delivered. I believe it's this property right here, the 58131. So there would be now 3 responses in opposition and 1 in support. And the DRC did review this on August the 5th, and no issues were identified. So we do recommend approval. This is a straight zoning request from Office 1 to Neighborhood Service. Just want to point out that even though it is a straight zoning request, if there's any concerns about doing straight zoning, you always have the option of doing a plan development. And we do have some draft conditions prepared that if we can go over with y'all later if you decide you want to go that direction. And that is all that I have right now. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, are there questions or comments?
A question, one of the objections talks about it being 100, what is it, it's close to the floodplain. I'm just wondering, additional buildings, will that have any effect with them, with any issues that would come about?
Right, if they choose to add on to the building, to expand, it would have to be, out of the flood zone, or I believe you have to raise it a certain level if you're.
Right, they'd have to apply for a letter of map revision to build in the floodplain. That would go through our city engineer. That wouldn't be something they would just do on whim.
Questions or comments?
And the seller indicated if somebody's interested.
I think they do have some folks interested, and actually the applicant is online, remote, so she can answer those questions either now or during the public hearing portion. Mhm. Right.
This case requires a public hearing, so we'll now open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you're viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand. Provide your full name and city of residence for the record.
Okay, my name is Andy Eller, and I live in Temple, and my property is adjacent to the property in question. I do realize you probably have seen my objection to the change. I did provide that this morning to Ms. Maxwell. The biggest thing, and I can run through them really quick. When we bought that property 30 years ago, that was zoned as Office 1. We probably wouldn't have bought the property if it was zoned anything else, because we knew that an office would be pretty much okay sitting next to our home, especially with an 8-foot privacy fence between us. So that was an okay thing. Well, now you're devaluing my property if you change it to a neighborhood services. That impacts me, and I probably would have never bought the property. The second thing is, and I believe it was actually talked about, Commissioner Morales actually brought it up, the floodplain. That floodplain cuts across my backyard and through the parking lot of this building. Anything that is done to that building could significantly impact that. Right now, when it rains and it rains heavy, it floods between our properties. I mean, that's where you want it to flood when it floods, but it does flood between the properties, and it washes a lot of trash and junk from all the buildings up to the west side. For instance, the AutoZone and the other neighborhood services buildings up there. Puts it through there. It winds up in my backyard, winds up in my front yard, and I have to clean it out. So any building changes, especially if you're doing something to the back of the building, could impact that, and or the parking lot would impact that, because you've pretty much covered up the entire land space where you could have water absorbed into the land, as well as now you're also washing into the creek, because there is that creek behind us. So those are both problems. That's why, we don't want any type of changes to the building for that, and we don't want any changes to the parking lot for that. The other thing is, that's a very tall building. You saw the pictures of it. That overlooks my backyard and my side yard, and any changes to the back of the building, windows, doors, would lend itself into people looking into my backyard very easy, even with an 8-foot privacy fence. Because as you know, a privacy fence is not totally private. There are gaps within the wood slats, so that happens. And I think I did mention the trash coming down and what it could do to it. There are a lot of businesses that produce more trash than others, and some of those are restaurants, which is extremely undesirable. I'm not opposed to an office, dental office, medical office, those kind of things. But when you put a restaurant in there, they have a lot of trash. We back up to the creek. This property sides to that creek. That creek is a natural habitat for rodents, as well as wild animals. I've had possums. I've had rodents in my yard. I actually had rodents destroy my car, eat my car. And those are coming from the properties that are adjacent and the creek. And the more stuff you put in there that allows food, they're going to attract those pests, those rodents, and they will come out and they'll do more damage. So we need to stay away from that. The other thing, and I know these are not allowed by neighborhood services, is the base zoning. These are things like vape shops, CBD shops, alcohol sales, whether they're an alcohol store or a restaurant. But they can be granted upon a conditional use permit. And I know how this process goes. I've been through it before. The owner will ask for a base zoning. They'll get the base zoning. And then they'll turn around a little bit later and come back and ask for a conditional use permit, which will then be granted. So it's an incremental thing that they pull to get us into a worse situation. So I don't want that either. And then finally, I'm just going to bring up that the loud music that comes from the AutoZone is horrendous. People pull in there and they play loud music while they're going into the auto parts store, they're working on their car, which they're actually not supposed to do. You can complain to AutoZone, they do nothing about it. If you call the police, by the time the police show up, it's a low priority call, and I understand that. And I'm not going to ask them to show up in like a 911 call, but when they do show up, the people are already gone. So those types of things create a whole nuisance for our neighborhood. So for those reasons and a whole lot more, I know I'm out of time. I'm going to ask that you deny the zoning request change. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Eller? Thank you, Mr. Eller.
Thank you.
It was mentioned.
We just didn't start the timer.
Hi, my name is Jeff Lawyer. I live at 6001 Wildcat Drive. I just want to present you all with some facts. We came here a few years ago when when the city council originally rezoned that area, and we had 30 members of our neighborhood here that pleaded, please don't do it. Planning and zoning recommended that you didn't do it. I think it was the third time, but the city did it anyway. And so here's what they promised us, that they would cover our traffic concerns, our trash concerns, and our privacy concerns. It can take up to 5 minutes to pull out of our neighborhood during rush hour. And if there's 2 or 3 people waiting to pull out of our neighborhood, it can take longer. That's the traffic. I walk my dogs all the time in the neighborhood, and I walk them behind small cakes and Little Caesars. And they love the smells back there because of all the food laying on the ground back there. I have a picture on my phone from 6:50 this morning when I went back there. Now, the trash that's usually there was picked up, but I went down to their trash receptacle. They have this gated thing, gates wide open. There's 5 pizza boxes from Little Caesars with pizza in them sitting on the ground right next to the dumpster, and the gates are wide open. We're concerned about rodents. All right, so that's the trash issue. Next is the privacy issue. When they built my 8-foot fence, it was a joke. For 1.5 years, I fought with AutoZone. I finally got Mayor Davis, the city manager, and the city attorney to write AutoZone. They sent a representative out there who said, this is probably the worst built fence I have ever seen. The man who is in charge of new construction from AutoZone called me up and said, I have the lady that owns the construction company on the phone. She's going to build you a brand new fence. And she popped in and she said, I'll call you afterwards and make sure everything is taken care of. That fence, I was at the zoning department last week. They said, we're aware. This is the second fence. We're aware of it. We're aware that it's come apart during the whole length. We're aware that when the wind blows, the fence shakes. We're aware that it's pulling apart everywhere. But there's nothing that we can do about it because it hasn't fallen on the ground. So now I'm going to take this concern down to the next level. I owned a pest control company for years. I did a lot of free work in my neighborhood, keeping the pests from that creek out of here. So now that's what we're worried about. If they have a restaurant down there, we're going to get flooded with all sorts of stuff. I killed a rattlesnake on the front porch of that building 2 months ago. So we're concerned about things like that. I talked with Jack Berger, who is with the company that's trying to put this building in, and he assured me, we have a lease on this building when we buy it. We won't lose a penny if we don't put anything in that place. And he said, we're willing to work with you. I talked to Jack Berger this morning, and I said, we're willing to work with you too. We're concerned about a restaurant and the trash and all of the pests coming out of the creek. And he said, I have to have food service there. Now, for a man that last week said, I have no idea what's going to go in there, and all of a sudden this morning he says, I have to have food service there. Sounds to me like they know what they want to put in there. So if it's going to be food service, we don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawyer. Anyone virtually?
Yes, we do have the applicant.
She's unmuted. Ms. Adams, you can go ahead and address the commission.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. My name's Lindsay Adams. I work with BCS Capital Group. Jack Berger wanted to attend, but wasn't able to. I'm the Director of Development, so I'm attending in his place and appreciate the commission and Cheryl for putting this together and putting all the thought into the presentation. I just want to echo what Jack had said to Mr. Lawyer and just say that we don't have any intention of being here to be a nuisance. We want to create win-wins, with communities. We aren't entirely sure what we want to do with the property yet. But this rezoning would allow us a lot of optionality. We very well could still be doing a medical user or an office user, as that's allowed under the neighborhood services, but it also allows us to do other types of retail. Some examples of that I can think of off the top of my head that we have worked with previously are all Class A nationally recognized credit retail tenants. We're retail developers out of Houston. So some of those could be, T-Mobile, AT&T, Great Clips, European Wax, the Joint Chiropractic. So very well could be non-restaurant users, but with this being an investment property and the unknown still being there, allowing us to do restaurant uses such as Panera Bread or McAllister's Deli, or even either smoothie concepts like Jamba Juice and Bahama Bucks, really give us the optionality to do that. The other thing is we don't have any intention to adding any windows to the back of the building, as they really wouldn't serve any purpose since it just backs up to that fence right there. And we do plan to have some enhancements to the building to adding storefronts, but that would just be to the Adams Avenue side and potentially the side of the building as well. So nothing to the back. So I appreciate everyone's time, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further questions and comments?
You go over the traffic numbers there.
This one or the
One
accident?
before. That one.
Okay. Yeah, particular question, or defer to Jason if she has any questions, but again, the bigger red dots are where you have the higher incidence of accidents. So at Brooks Drive and Loop 363. And this is the applicant's property, that general location.
I had a question. Is it, are there any, currently any windows and doors in the back of the building?
On the back, no.
Okay.
Lindsay, can you confirm, are there 2 windows on the back of the building? Let me go look at my pictures here.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so they're below the fence. Back over here.
Correct.
Okay.
Questions or comments? Yes,
Public hearing still open.
still open.
I'm Sherry Eller. And I'm right next to the property too. We just don't have a high trust on any of the promises made will be kept, because I was there through the whole construction of it, and they traipsed into our yard and took our covers off of our side water faucet and used our water and left a mess. And there's just a lot of promises made about a lot of things. And we just want to make sure y'all don't put any windows or doors on the back of that building. We don't want anything on top of it looking trashy or extending the height to look into our yard. And then the types of businesses that you could have by changing the zoning could also increase possibly how late the businesses are open. And it's maybe an almost every night occurrence that we have to deal with the noise at AutoZone, even after they're closed, the people that park there. And it's not just the music, it's the boom boom of the bass that almost makes me feel like I'm having a panic attack because it moves my body, but you can't get police out there in time to deal with that. And we have talked to AutoZone in a nice way to try to ask them, and they will not. And so just the nuisances that come in, I think Office 1 is more appropriate for there and how close it is and all that. I just hope that y'all will not grant this. We purchased our house to live there for retirement and everything. And so she's admitting they could still use it for medical and some other stuff. So leave it as it is and sell it. I mean, if they made a bad business decision by building where they built and what they built, we shouldn't have to pay the consequence by them changing the promises as we go on and then coming back with conditional use after that. So please vote.
Further comment or questions? We will now close the public hearing. If there are no more questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a motion?
I recommend we approve FY 24 35 ZC on the condition that no windows and doors are added to the back of the building.
Can I say something? And Lindsay, feel free to interrupt. When I talked with Jack about that earlier about the doors, he said that they may have to put a door for fire purposes.
I was thinking that.
Lindsay, are you aware of that?
Yes, that's true. Some tenants may be required to install a door to be up to code with fire in the back, but it would be a 3x7 door.
Could we maybe do that condition as no windows or doors except for required fire doors?
Yes. Do you want to say the whole thing again? I recommend that we approve FY 24 35 ZC as recommended by staff on the condition that there are no added doors or windows to the backside of the building unless it is a pre-approved fire exit door. As required by fire code.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Walker and a second by Commissioner Carney to recommend approval of item 8 FY 24 35 ZC to City Council per staff recommendation. Can we have a vote, please, Kathy?
Excuse me, can we hold just a second? Wait. We're having an internal discussion how to approach this because it's not a PD. Or should it be?
Conditions. Conditions are denied.
Yeah, the way we've done it in the past is we've turned it into a PD if there are conditions.
So do they need to do that?
So would be the recommendation that the motion then would be recommend approval of plan development, and that's one of the conditions for the fire escape.
Yeah, so. So the motion will be. Because there's a condition added, the motion is for a plan development. Neighborhood services. With the condition that no additional windows or doors be added. Except for fire doors at fire door exits as required. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Okay. And we have a second for that?
Yes.
Commissioner Carney seconded the motion.
Okay.
Kathy, will you take
We'll
a
have a
vote,
vote.
please?
Commissioner Morales,
No,
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
No.
Commissioner Jeans.
No.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Krause.
No.
The vote is 3 ayes, 4 nays, and 0 abstains. The motion fails.
All right, and to avoid what I did last time we had this, we still need a motion that passes, whether that's a motion for approval or a motion to deny or a motion to pass it as a PD with additional conditions.
I'll make a motion to deny item FY 24-35-ZC as presented by staff.
Jeans.
Motion's been made and seconded. Kathy, will you take a
Yes.
vote?
So Commissioner Smith made the motion. It was second by Commissioner Jeans. We're going to vote now. Commissioner Morales,
to clarify, this is,
This is
To
a
deny.
motion to recommend denial of the zoning change.
aye,
Commissioner Walker,
Nope.
Commissioner Jurassic,
No.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
No.
Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
Okay, so we have,
Motion carries
Yes.
4-3.
we have, the vote is 4 ayes, 3 nays, and 0 abstains. The motion carries to deny.
I do want to point out for the benefit of the folks here that it will still move forward to the city council, but the recommendation from the planning commission will be to deny it, but there still be first reading on the dates that we mentioned. There'll be a public hearing as well at that meeting.
September 5th, right?
September 5th, right, will be the public hearing.
We'll move on to item number 9, FY 24-36 ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning request from 2-family to Office 1 located at 1006 South 30th Street, Temple, Texas. The case will be presented by Senior Neighborhood Planner Christina Strickland.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good evening, Commission. So this request is to go from 2-family to Office 1. This is coming before you tonight and will go to Council first reading September 5th and Council second reading on September 19th. A little bit of the background for this one. It's a little over an acre, again, being zone 2F to 01. It is a proposed 10,560 square foot office building to be used by the Early Childhood Head Start program. This property is located on your screen. You can see on the corner of J Avenue and 30th Street. A subdivision plat is going to be required to combine the current 8 lots that it covers. It did go to the Development Review Committee on August 2nd, and no issues were identified with it. A little bit of additional history. Historically, this parcel has been used for institutional purposes, and the previous building was the Dixon Education Center. TISD sold the property to Central Texas 4C in August of this year. And on the bottom of your screen is an aerial snapshot. You can see that it sits amongst quite a bit of vacant parcels. Some site photos on the upper left-hand screen is the subject property. And then the bottom left is more of the subject property. The whole entire chunk is currently vacant. That original building was demolished sometime between 2011 and today's date. I'm not sure what day. It's just Google only takes you back so far. So it's been vacant for quite some time. On the right-hand side, this is the northern border of the property along Avenue J. You can see that there is an existing sidewalk, just to give you a full snapshot of the property. To the north is used by it has residential uses. It's owned by the Housing Authority, and it is currently zoned as multifamily 2. And to the south is vacant property that is zoned as 2F. To the west, you can see kind of behind the subject property, this yellow house. This little line of property is zoned as 2F, and then kind of across, it's like a little alley, is single family uses, also zoned as 2F. And then to the east is the Meredith Dunbar Early Childhood Academy that is currently zoned as agricultural. This is a straight zoning case, so this is a non-binding conceptual site plan. The applicant just wanted to share this with the commission just to kind of show the general layout of what their proposed building is going to be. Again, this is for a preschool program, so there are going to be some playgrounds as well as a building and a queuing drop-off parent drop-off line, as well as some parking and then some overflow parking in the back. We will cover this a little bit more, but there's also going to be some fencing requirements and privacy fencing, as well as just fencing for the playgrounds themselves. So this program does currently exist in the city of Killeen. On this screen is just a picture of what their building looks like. That the building proposed here in Temple will also look like. And you can see that it actually looks quite similar with the street and the parking and the queuing line. And then here are the same concepts of the playgrounds for different age groups that are divided by a see-through fence. So the kiddos can be seen. Just a little bit of additional background on the zoning. So this property is currently zoned as 2F and is surrounded by 2F, as well as some multifamily 2, agricultural, and then a little bit of general retail. Office 1 provides for non-residential services along the section of 30th Street. The property is appropriate for O1 as a preschool program, and there is a low impact hours of operation and a low traffic generator for this one. So it is compliant with zoning. Our future development plan calls for this area to be urban residential, which intends to be maintained and conserve existing residential and provide neighborhood appropriate non-residential development. So the future development plan actually calls for neighborhood services, which is a more intense use than Office 1, making Office 1, since it is a more restrictive use, it is in line and appropriate for urban residential and consistent with the plan. This plan does fall, or this zoning request does fall within the Crestview Neighborhood Planning District. Some things outside of that neighborhood planning district, or that have come out of that neighborhood planning district, you can see there's a screenshot up here. This is a concept layout of what could be in this vacant property. We did call out some single family attached, as well as a community building, a great lawn, and some proposed multifamily. So other things, other recommendations that have come out of the Crestview plan are the interior Great Lawn for recreation, safe pedestrian crossings to include sidewalks and crosswalks, a Crestview trail along J Avenue. And the parcel was highlighted as a development opportunity and also cause for community building. So while the zoning request is not quite in line with the neighborhood planning district, the request does provide some of the enhancements recommended throughout the neighborhood plan document, which includes the sidewalks, a planting buffer, and an interior oriented parking. So overall, this development is a benefit to the neighborhood and is in line with the improvement recommendations. For our thoroughfare plan and trails, 30th Street is a neighborhood collector, so 5-foot minimum sidewalks are required on both sides. Sidewalks will be provided as part of this development. And along J Avenue, it is called out as a suburban local, but that is also where the Crestview Trail is proposed to be. So 4-foot sidewalk on one side is required. There is currently an existing sidewalk that will be repaired or replaced with this development as well. And that all falls in line with the mobility master plan. There is existing water and sewer. Water is provided by a 6-inch water line along J Avenue and an 8-inch sewer line that runs through the property but connects to 30th Street. So for Office 1 uses, there are several uses that are applicable in this zoning district, and preschool is an appropriate use in Office 1. That is why the request is for O1. As far as the dimensional standards, there's not a minimum lot size, width, or depth. There is a 25-foot front yard setback requirement and 5-foot side yard. This one is going to have a 15-foot corner side yard setback because it is on a corner, so it'll have a greater setback requirement. The rear setback is 10 feet. And it does abut a residential zoning district, so there is going to be the screening and buffering requirement, and it will be required to have the 6-foot privacy fence, 6-foot solid privacy fence. And they can go up to 8 feet if they prefer, but that'll be between the residential and the non-residential. And then the solid waste containers are required to be on the side or the rear of the property and screened outdoor storage. For public notification, 15 notices were sent to property owners within the 200-foot notification boundary. We got one notice in response. Ooh, it's a Monday. One response in agreement and 0 responses in disagreement. And the newspaper notice was printed August 8th. And this zoning change request is compliant with the future development plan surrounding, it is compatible with surrounding uses in zoning. Public facilities are available. It is also compliant with the thoroughfare plan and the neighborhood plan. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request from 2-family to Office 1. And I am happy to answer any questions if you have any, and the applicant and owner are also available should you have any questions.
Commissioners, are there questions or comments?
This is exciting.
This case requires a public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you're viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand, provide your full name and city of residence for the record.
Seeing no raised hands.
Seeing no attending, we'll now close the public hearing. If there are no more questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion for approval for FY 24-2036-ZC.
As presented by staff.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Morales and a second by Commissioner Smith to recommend approval of item number 9 FY 24 36 ZC to city council per staff recommendation. Kathy, may we have a
Yes.
vote?
Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
Proceed to item number 10 FY 24 35 PLT. Consider and take action on the final plat of Daisy Field, a 5± acre, 19 lot, 2 block, 2 track residential subdivision located in the Maximo Moreno Survey, abstract number 14 in the city of Temple, addressed as 2109 Lavandusky Drive. This case will be presented by Senior Planner Shelby Smith.
Thank you, Vice Chair and members of the commission. So this is for 5 acres. It's a 19 lot, 2 block with 2 tracks, residential subdivision. And so since it is for 19 lots not qualifying as a minor plat, this will require the Planning and Zoning Commission approval. Tract A is for drainage, and then Tract B will be for landscaping. Both tracks will be owned and maintained by the HOA. For the zoning, it's a planned development, single family 2. And so that is allowing for detached single family homes with the 5,000 square footage lot minimum, according to the single family 2 standards. And then for the planned development, it is approved to address development conditions or limitation resulting from the shape of the property. And then there are 12 approved conditions of the ordinance related to the single family 2 dimensional standards included in the staff report as well for more information. So this went to the DRC on June 4th, and it was deemed administratively complete / filed on August 14th. For sidewalks, there are required conditions stated in the ordinance, and there are correct sidewalks in place. Utilities, water is available from an 8-inch water line in Lavandusky Drive. Wastewater is also available from an existing 8-inch sewer line as well. And for park fees, because it is a residential use, there will be park fees per 225 new dwelling unit. According to the neighborhood planning district, it is located in the East Down Neighborhood Planning District. And again, there weren't any exceptions requested, so the Planning and Zoning Commission will be the final authority. And this is a picture of the final plat. And then we have the Temple utility plan as well. And staff is recommending approval of the final plat of Daisy Fields. And I'll pause for any questions.
Commissioners, are there questions or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
As presented by staff.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Jeans to recommend approval of item number 10 FY 24 35 PLT to City Council per staff recommendations. Kathy, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeans.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
There further business? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:30 PM.
Thank you, everyone.
I think that was